Join me today as we talk about Squid Game Season 2. This is the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bobbie, and today we're going to be talking about the second season of Squid Game, which very recently popped up on Netflix. Recently as of my recording, which this is December 28th. Yeah, December 28th. Or 27th. 25th. No, December 28th. Yeah, sorry. I blitzed through it over 2 days because I started it one night. I was kind of tired, and then I'd work the next day, so I finished it that night. All right, so just some notes real quick before I get into the plot. This is, I suppose, a minor spoiler. This very much ends on so get ready for season 3, which is supposed to come out in 2025. So sounds like this is going to be similar to how they did the most recent Stranger Things season, except I imagine it's going to be a little more spread a little bit farther apart, if I had to guess, because I don't know exactly when in 2025. I don't know if they've announced when. I haven't looked it up. If I do, whenever I'm editing, I'll put the date over here somewhere. So it ends on a cliffhanger. Okay. So if you have not watched season 1, don't jump into season 2. Definitely need to watch season 1. You could probably you could probably figure things out, like the gist of things, but season 1 was really good. There is a reason why I kept referring to the gentleman who's in The Acolyte as Squid Game, because Squid Game was a really good show, and he was the main character in it. He is, again, the main character in this one. Now, I'll try to say a few things here before I get into spoilers. I thought this season was very good. It's a little bit shorter. It's 7 episodes versus the, I think, 10 from the original season, 9 or 10 somewhere. It feels like there's a little bit of filler in there, but not a lot. They do kind of, some things they kind of skip past, but there's a lot more going on as far as the plot. See, in the first season, the plot centered almost entirely around the actual game. I think the first episode had a lot of build up to introduce us to some people. It's been once I watched it, so I don't remember exactly if by the end of the first episode we knew what all was going on. So this one, there's more things outside the game happening because of the events of the first season. So you have a number of other characters, and as the season is progressing, you have things happening outside the game once the game starts. And I'll explain that once I get to spoilers here in a minute. And I think for the most part it works. It seems like they're fairly logical things that would possibly happen, with a notable exception that I'll talk about once I get to spoilers. So overall, like I said, I thought it was good. It does keep you guessing at a few points. It sets up that things are just going to repeat, and then hits you with a curveball. And the motivations of at least one of the characters is entirely unclear, at least to me, and remains so by the end of the season. So we'll figure that one out. There is at least one character turn that I generally assumed was coming through most of the season, and I don't know, I would have actually been legitimately surprised if it didn't happen, because there was a lot of things that led me to believe it was going to happen. Not like super obvious foreshadowing, but since I was looking for the curve, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the spoiler section. But overall, I liked it. Can't wait till, like I said, I blitzed through it. I can't wait to get to the other section. And overall, I like a number of Netflix things that are coming from South Korea here lately. I say lately. I mean, we're talking, we're starting stretching back years, like Train to Busan. That's not even from Netflix. That just came out. And some other zombie things. There's like a whole Korean zombie subgenre of the zombie phenomenon. But then there's this show, and there's some other shows, and it seems like South Korea is on a similar yet different enough to be original wavelength to like Americana, so because like ultimately Squid Game is like the South Korean version of I suppose we could go all the way back to like the Death Race 2000 or The Running Man or the Hunger Games, just the concept of blood sport for entertainment. In those cases, it's for the masses. Here, it's for a select clientele. But it's a similar concept. Roger Corman talked about it one time in an interview with Joe Bob Briggs, where I think his most successful movie was The Death Race 2000, or one of his most successful. And he was the producer on the updated version, Death Race, with Statham and those guys. And then Death Race, I want to say 2050, he actually made it. And he's mentioned before that like he's noticed there's definitely an interest in that particular like type of that genre of story where people are forced or volunteer or however, but they wind up competing in basically a blood sport or death match of some kind, and the masses just chew it up. And I mean that goes back to the Colosseum in Rome and other things like the Aztecs and things they did. And I mean, it's a weird human interest, but this is just basically like the South Korean version of that, with the twist of, oh, they're all going to play kids games, but if you lose, you die. So yeah, but yeah, in this one, well, I'll wait till the spoilers, but there are definitely some differences this time. So it's not just a rehash. There are definitely some differences. Yeah, there was enough that kept it interesting, kept it moving, and it didn't really seem to drag anywhere. So overall, thought it was great. If you liked the first season, check it out. But now I'm about to go into pretty heavy spoilers. So here we go. You have been warned. Turn back. This is your last chance. We're in the spoiler zone now, kind of like the danger zone, except I don't have a theme song by Kenny Loggins. That's what I was trying to think of. Just Danger Zone, to the song Danger Zone for the movie Top Gun. So anyway, here we go. Spoilers. Okay, our main character from the first season has decided that he is going to try to bust up the games because he feels it is a grave injustice that is occurring, and because these are all desperate people that, yes, while they did willingly choose, it's clear the other people are taking advantage of their desperation. So towards this end, he has hired a group of people who he owed money to originally, and he's now paid back because he has billions and billions of whatever their currency is. Won? No, I can't think of what it was. Sorry. And which doesn't translate to billions of dollars. It's less. But so they are trying to find the guy that initially brought him on board. The guy who played Donji, where they're bouncing the things at the very beginning. And so they've been looking for this guy. This is like 3 years later, and they have not found this guy yet. But then they find him. They follow him. He kills one of the guys after playing a game, and then tortures the other one until he talks. Then he goes and confronts the guy that won the first game, that won the last Squid Game. And the two of them play Russian roulette, and it ends with the other guy blowing his brains out. In an interesting scene, because They play, for those of you that don't know how the game is typically played, it's using your revolver. You put a single cartridge in, you spin the cylinder, click it back in, and then you take turns clicking. But after each click, after each trigger pull, you pull the cylinder back out, spin it, and slam it back in. Well, they decide to not do that. So that means somewhere in the next 6 pulls will be the bullet. And it comes down to pull number 6. And he takes the bullet. So, I'm sure he was trying to prove some kind of point. I don't know what it was. The man was a psychopath, as we find out in his backstory. Because he used to be one of the guards there on the island. And shot his own dad, who was in the game. So, you have him. He gets taken out. That was surprise number 1. Then you have the cop who infiltrated the island in the first series and found out that his brother is like kind of running the show there. His brother being one of the only actors I recognize. I don't know his name right off the top of my head, but he's the guy who plays Snake or Storm Shadow in the 2 G.I. Joe live action movies. Presumably not the Snake Eyes movie because I didn't watch it because it looked bad. And also is in Red Part 2 as a Korean who got screwed over by Bruce Willis's character, and now he's an assassin. At least those are the things I know him from. And I think the guy, the recruiter, I think I've seen him in something else before too. I think he was in one of the Korean zombie movies I saw. So that's happening. So the cop is also trying to find the island, and he's going to the boat captain who rescued him. And they can't seem to find the island. And there's a bunch of little islands. They keep looking around. And the late reveal is that the boat captain is probably on the take for these people. Because he definitely kills a guy later on, throws him overboard, and he's tinkering with some stuff. And the turn there is foreshadowed by the fact they can't find the island, and they keep looking. They've been looking for years. It's a fairly small geographical area. He found the guy out in the water. He should have a rough idea of where to look. It strains credulity that they couldn't find this island in all this time. And so then you see the other events, yeah, he's obviously just been leading this guy on a wild goose chase. So through circumstances, the cop and the guy from the first game end up together. And they formulate a plan to try to catch the guy who's running the show, and failing that, to follow him to the island. They put a tracker on him. And so he confronts the guy, and the guy's like, why don't you just get on the plane? Why don't you take all the money? And he's like, well, because this is wrong. I gotta stop you guys. And he's like, well, surely you know that just taking out one person, isn't going to stop anything. He's like, oh, no, I figured that out. But you're the step to get to the people I need to take out. And so ultimately he decides to go back into the game on the idea being that he'll try to stop it from the inside. Because if he's there inside, he's on the island, which means he's near the control room and the people that run it and all that stuff. Because the cop told him a bunch of stuff because he was on the inside as one of the guards. And then, as an interesting twist, we also follow the character of one of the guards this time, who's a North Korean, and she's a stone cold killer. But she's also clearly got her own agenda, because some of the guards are also running a thing where they're harvesting organs from the people that are getting killed. But in order to do that, they can't kill them immediately. They need to still be alive when they get to the operating table. But she's going around and making sure that everyone's dead. And, she's headshotting all the people. And so I don't know what her angle is just yet. Presumably we'll find out. And then the other kind of big twist happens when they vote to stop the game after the first game, because they explain the rules, and they explain that they can vote to leave, and if the majority votes to stop the game, they will stop the game. Because the guy who won the first game ultimately tells everyone about the first game, and is trying to tell them, because they're like, well, whoever survives will divide the jackpot, and he tells them how much he won, and they're like, well, wait, that means you're the only one that survived. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Like, what they're saying isn't a lie. It's just that they're going to make sure by the last game that only one person's left alive. And so all of you that have this idea that you're going to split some jackpot at the end, like, that ain't going to happen. They're going to make sure that there's only one of us left. And so he tells them, about red light, green light. That's the first game. But then he tells them what the second game is going to be, which was the one with the honeycomb things where they had to carve out the things. And then they get there, and that's not the second game. So that's how they keep things interesting, is that there are new games. It's not just a repeat, except for red light, green light from the beginning. And then they vote, and it's a tie, and they went in reverse order. So it comes down to player number 001. And you don't see his face as he's going up or as he votes or anything. And it's not until he's walking away that you see who player 001 is. And it's the guy who was the second in command to the old man in season 1. He has put himself into the games for I don't know what reason. And he stays there until episode 7. When the main guy convinces people to make a move, and they ambush some of the guards and start fighting their way back and start killing a bunch of the guards and try to get to the control room. And they almost make it, but eventually just run out of ammo. They killed a lot of guards along the way. So I'm thinking that this guy, his people are on the outside trying to find the island. They've hired a bunch of mercenaries, and they got a bunch of weapons. And I think with the guards as depleted as they are, if those guys find the island, they're going to be able to overtake them, because a lot of guards got killed. So they make it basically to the control room, and then they split up, and the guy who was running things in the last season offers to go around a back way, and then he radios that he's under fire, and then it sounds like he gets killed on the radio, and then he goes in the control room, changes his outfit, comes out, and he's like, oh, you done playing hero? Shoots his friend that's in the game, and then they take him, and that's basically where the season ends. So you had the twists and turns. We've got the story on the outside. We had the late betrayal from the boat captain, and so we don't know where all that's going to go. And we have the cop and the mercenary guys are on the outside. Then we have the people keep voting, and there's the people that want to stay. They're just hardcore psychopaths who are like, well, I owe a lot of money. We stop now and divide up this. That's not going to cover all my debts. Let's keep going. And it's clear that these people are cutthroat and would stab each other in the back, because it happens repeatedly, and they keep thinking that they're a cohesive unit. Meanwhile, the other side's like, guys, let's just stop. We've got the money. Because if they vote to stop, however much is accumulated will be divided up among everybody. And the guy who won last season is like, hey, for you guys, I'll help you. If there isn't enough money, I got billions of dollars just sitting in a hotel room somewhere. I'll lend it to you. It's fine. So, yeah, it's more twisty and turny than season 1. There's more external plot occurring. There's more stuff outside the games. It's kind of expanding things. And yeah, it's been kept interesting. So I don't know where season 3 is necessarily going to go. I assume it's going to come down to that guy that won season 1 is going to get to the guy in the black mask, figure out that he was player 1, probably try to kill him, and his cop brother Maybe he's going to try to stop him. Maybe he's not. I don't know. But yeah, like as you're watching it, you don't know what this guy's scheme is, like, because he's helping them win. And after that first vote, he votes to stop. But, you know, he seems to generally be on the side of, hey, yeah, let's stop all this nonsense. But occasionally, like, he starts really ranting at people, and you can see, like, what's going on. I think maybe what he's trying to do is to get the guy from season 1 to come around to his way of thinking. Because he definitely, like, tries to rationalize some things. And, like, at one point he's like, so what you're saying is we're going to sacrifice a few people for the greater good. And that's kind of the way that they look at the games themselves, because as the guy who recruited him back in like episode 1, episode 2, whenever he's got him and they're face to face, that guy tells him, he's like, you can't stop the games. The games exist because these trash people exist. Like, as long as they exist, the games will exist. It's the reverse of what you think. And so they are looking at it as they've convinced themselves that they're like doing some kind of public service by taking these people off the streets and just, you know, eliminating them. And because they're psychopaths, but that's how they're justifying it to themselves. So instead of just the fact that they're, you know, bloodthirsty psychos. So you get the philosophical debate, kind of like you had like in the last episode between him and the old man, where the old man is trying to prove the point that, you know, people generally are just not good. And so you get a lot more of that in this one. So yeah, it's more than just the violence. There's some thought-provoking parts. And I'm assuming that's where they're going with it all together, to try to prove a point, which will actually give it very much an anime-style ending, where you have like 90% of the show is about one thing, then the last 10% all of a sudden turns into some kind of weird debate on the existence or reality or the human condition or something. And yeah, a lot of anime shows go that route. Like, that's what I'm there for in anime. The first 90% is great, but like, hit me with that screwball that just comes out of nowhere, you know. That's what I live for with anime. Like with Evangelion. Oh, we're fighting these giant aliens from space. And then everyone starts turning into orange juice. And it's like, what the fuck is happening here? But anyway, so if that happens, like, kudos to Squid Game if they go that route. I hope they do. So yeah, overall, like I said, if you like season 1, definitely check out season 2. It's a couple episodes shorter, so you'll blitz through it even faster, and then you'll hit that whole like, oh god, now I gotta wait, but the next season is coming next year sometime, so look out for that. But that's about all I've got to say on this one, so let me know what you guys think. Any characters, like if you watched it, any characters you hope make it, any characters you're gonna be sad if they don't make it, because that is one thing, like, we are down to some characters that I do kind of hope make it, but like, I know how season 1 went, so I don't have high hopes for them making it, and it's going to be really tragic if they don't. Like, they are definitely like keeping some people in there to have a late season kill to pull at the heartstrings. I'm completely convinced at that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like I said, just comment down below any thoughts you have on the matter. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting are the things that help us grow the channel, and we always appreciate it. But other than that, that's all I've got. So see you next time. No, that's bad. I gotta have something better than that. I don't have any kind of Squid Game puns to end this on. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. See you folks later.